much they'll have to pay and what this could mean for the future of social media.
And I'm assignment editor Mike Rogers at the desk. The widow of a sheriff's deputy filing a legal claim against the department over that explosion that killed 3 deputies. What she alleges the detectives did with a grenade. That's ahead.
And drastic times call for drastic measures. Truck drivers thinking about putting it in park as fuel prices skyrocket.
This is CBS LA at 5.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Pat Harvey.
And I'm Rutabaga Shabazi. We begin with breaking news, a landmark decision that could have a major impact on social media sites. Meta and YouTube found liable for a product that harms children who use it.
And CBS LA's Jasmine Veal is outside the courthouse in downtown LA with just how much the companies will have to pay and what happens next. Jasmine.
Yeah, Pat, we're talking millions of dollars. So Instagram and YouTube lost this case. That is a major victory for those suing the companies who, argue that their tactics mirror big tobacco, once accused of downplaying the dangers of smoking. An emotional scene spilling out onto the steps of the courthouse Wednesday as parents and advocates react to a verdict they've waited years to hear.
Big tech, your gig is over.
After days of deliberations, a jury found that Meta and YouTube were negligent in the design of their platforms, agreeing they hooked children on the sites and contributed to mental health and other harms.
How does it feel to get this verdict?
Take a weight off. The jury awarded $3 million in damages to a now 20-year-old woman named Kaylee, who testified her use of social media as a child became addictive and worsened her mental health struggles. The jury also imposed punitive damages of $3 million against the companies.
Just giving an amount saying that their conduct was worthy of being punished is amazing.
Attorney Mark Lanier says Kaylee did not want to speak publicly after the trial as she suffers from social anxiety.
But she did want me to express her appreciation publicly for the work of the jury. Because of the features alone that drive addiction, these companies can be held accountable. That's a huge message for these companies.
The trial, which began in January, included testimony from top tech leaders, including Mark Zuckerberg. A group of parents who say their own children were harmed or died as a result of the lack of protections on social media promise to keep fighting for change.
We have fought on Capitol Hill to get reforms through. Nobody heard us. Capitol Hill, hear us now.
Every kid with a cell phone, with any device with a camera and connection to the internet is in danger.
Personally today, I feel vindicated.
But both companies also promise this isn't the end for them.
Teen mental health is profoundly complex and cannot be linked to a single app. We will continue to defend ourselves vigorously as every case is different. And we remain confident in our record of protecting teens online.
In a statement, Google said, "We disagree with the verdict and plan to appeal. This case misunderstands YouTube, which is a responsibly built streaming platform, not a social media site." But for the families here, this verdict is a major step forward in holding tech companies accountable.
For the big tech executives, I want to say something. Stop blaming the parents. It's on you.
All right, back out here live. So this is what they call a bellwether case, meaning that the damages awarded could set a precedent for the thousands of similar social media lawsuits. Much more to come. Live here in downtown LA, Jasmine Veal, CBS LA.
Jasmine, thank you. Well, today's decision will likely have a big impact on the thousands of other lawsuits against social media companies.
That's right. An attorney joined us this morning to break down just how important this verdict is.
I really don't think the significance can be overstated. Today, Meta and YouTube are hit with a finding of liability for negligence, for failure to warn, for designing applications that were meant to be addictive to children and not safeguarding and protecting children by design. This finding is just so big, and it really sets the stage for thousands of cases for various mental health issues that people will claim were caused by their social media use as children.
Well, we are joined live now by Tracy Foster. She is the co-founder and executive director for Screen Sanity. Welcome, Tracy. First off, what does that verdict say about the impact of social media on kids?
Well, I think it shows that we're now starting to find legally a lot of the effects that have been increasingly demonstrated medically with research and what parents have felt and experienced for years. So recent research from Columbia University and from the Journal of Pediatrics have found things like early smartphone and then later social media, but early smartphone use is correlated with obesity, depression, sleep issues. Columbia University found that 40% of kids are demonstrating addictive behavior to technology. And so this is an exciting case that when we see those types of real mental and physical health effects happening to our kids, that the companies who design those products can actually be held liable, with the ultimate goal that then they feel the accountability and responsibility and change the design of their products so that our kids can be safer using those platforms.
And we talked about this. Jasmine was reporting this is a bellwether case. Do you think that social media platforms are finally being held accountable and this is maybe just the beginning?
Yeah, I hope it's just the beginning. And obviously we just heard that they're both planning to, challenge the case. But we have been finding increasingly over time that whenever there's threat of external intervention, they act. So when the government was thinking about implementing the Kids Online Safety Act last year, all of a sudden some new features came out. There is a long way for these companies to go in terms of actually making them safe and believing that they have a responsibility to keep kids safe. They've done a lot of things that are just kind of for looks only. So I hope that it changes things. They have the means to be able to do this. And I think it's exciting if we're starting to hold them accountable just the same way we do for other things. We don't expect parents to keep making sure that the mac and cheese that they buy from the grocery store doesn't have metal in it. We have things like the FDA and other policies that make it so that there are food safety protections or driving protections. I hope that this leads to that, both tech companies regulating themselves and also possibly setting the ground for broader societal norms.
It'd be nice for parents also to have some kind of guidelines as to what to look for. So how are kids being affected in ways that parents might not be able to see?
Yes, well, first of all, I just want to emphasize how much empathy we as parents can and should have for our kids, because this is hard. I almost constantly feel so grateful that this didn't exist when I was younger, because I would have gotten into all sorts of challenges on it. I think the first thing is opening up conversation with your kids, and even on this case, saying, hey, I've felt this. I felt like my social media apps and other apps are addictive. Sometimes I have a hard time putting it down. How do you feel about that? Do you ever struggle with that? Listen to what this young woman, Kaylee, experienced, and starting to have that conversation, because I think our kids are really looking for help. They're looking for mentorship and guidance on this topic. And a lot of times parents don't step in because we don't know what to say. This was not anything any parent ever engaged with us. And we oftentimes think our kids are more tech savvy than we are, but we still want to help them through this. And so starting that conversation, a couple other quick things we can do related to this is maybe do an experiment. One of the realities that this case found is that there are features put into products designed to make us experience, essentially, the case didn't say this, but this concept of time distortion, where you actually have no idea how long you spent on your device because of things like infinite scroll and autoplay that just keep you going. So maybe do an experiment with your kids and say, hey, how long do you think you spent on social media or internet or whatever today? How long do I think I spent? And then go check your stats and see how close you are. And then maybe consider setting some type of shared boundary, like getting devices out of bedrooms or things like that, to help create a space so that your kids are less likely to be having to battle this huge platform that's really navigating for their time and attention.
Well, Tracy, thank you so much. Really good advice. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
And we will keep you updated on the case and the impacts that it may have on future lawsuits. So keep it here on CBS LA and CBSLA.com.
New tonight at 5, the widow of a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy plans to sue after a grenade exploded, killing her husband and 2 other deputies.
CBS LA assignment editor Mike Rogers at the desk. Mike, there are a lot of new claims in this filing that you've gotten your hands on.
Yeah, Pat and Rudy, a lot of new allegations coming in through this legal claim. Remember, a legal claim is a precursor to a lawsuit that has been filed. We've gotten our hands on that claim. We're going to walk you through some of the details. But first, I want to show you the video here. We're talking about Victor Lemus. This is one of the 3 deputies that was killed killed when this explosion happened late last year at a Biscaloo's training center at LASD station. Now, you'll remember this all happened when the bomb squad was called to assist the Santa Monica Police Department with an explosive, a grenade, two grenades rather, that were found inside of an apartment building there in Santa Monica. Those grenades were ultimately ended up at the training center where one of them exploded, killing all three of those deputies. And tonight, the lawsuit, or the claim, the precursor to the lawsuit, is giving us some details that we had not heard before, at least allegations that we had not heard before. I want to come to my computer here, and I'm going to walk you through some of them here, including the fact right here where it says they did not take it to a department facility where they were supposed to. Instead, they transported, it claims, the live explosive device on public roadways to a private home. It says during the transport, it was not secured in a safe or bomb truck, exposing it to the public. They also say once it reached their home, the private home of the deputies, the device remained overnight either in the vehicle or inside of a residential house. Now, this is after the lawsuit claims that the deputies used an older x-ray machine and not the proper equipment to manage it. And falsely, the lawsuit claimed to Santa Monica Police Department that the grenade was inert. Now, the lawsuit goes on to talk about how after that, it was taken to the Biscaloo's training center, which, as we just talked about, is where it ultimately exploded. The problem is live explosives, according to the lawsuit, devices are prohibited from being taken onto the ground, such as the Biscaloo's training center. Now, the deputy that died here, the deputy's wife that filed the lawsuit, he was not actually trained, according to this claim, to be a bomb technician. He had not gone to the FBI training academy. He had not been trained by the sheriff's department. The two deputies that responded to Santa Monica, they did not respond with this third deputy, with Victor Lemus. Victor Lemus joined them the next day when this explosion happened. According to the legal claim, they were using it as a training to train Victor Lemus. The lawsuit alleges that because he was with two deputies who were trained, he assumed they were doing everything the right way. But instead, according to the legal claim, they pulled the pin here. They used live explosive device as a training demonstration. They pulled the pin of the grenade. The device exploded, killing Victor Lemus as well as themselves. Tonight, we did reach out to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. They released a statement saying they are updating their training, including further standardizing department practices and processes to ensure organizational consistency, the introduction of new equipment, and refining supervisory response protocols tailored to the nature of the